Kit, Chapter 4. But Dad didn't get a job that day, or the day after that, or the day after that, though he certainly seemed to be trying. Every day he put a good suit on and rode the streetcar downtown. Every day he said he was going to have lunch with a friend or a business acquaintance. Every day Kit hoped he'd come home with good news of a new job. But every afternoon Dad came home tired and discouraged. All the bad news in the newspaper seemed to be about Kit's own life now. One afternoon, after a week had passed, Kit and Mother were on the back porch shelling peas when a huge black car pulled up in the driveway. "Oh no," sighed Mother. Kit asked, "Is it Uncle Hendrik?" Mother nodded. She took off her apron and handed it and the peas to Kit. "Quick," she said, "take these into the kitchen. And Kit, dear, while you're in there, pour us some iced tea and bring it to the terrace." Mother smoothed her hair, adjusted her smile, and walked gracefully towards the car. Kit was glad to escape inside. Uncle Hendrik was her mother's uncle and the oldest relative Mother had left. He was tall and gray, and he lived in a tall gray house near downtown Cincinnati. He always seemed to be in a bad mood, like Grandfather in the Heidi book before Heidi made him nice. "The last thing Uncle Hendrik needs is lemon," Kit thought as she put a slice in his glass. "He's already a sourpuss." Kit put the iced tea on a tray and carried it to the terrace. Mother was sitting on a wicker chair, but Uncle Hendrik was pacing back and forth. When he saw Kit, he stopped. "Here it comes," thought Kit. Without even saying hello, Uncle Hendrik barked at Kit. "What's the capital of North Dakota?" "Bismarck," answered Kit. She was used to such questions from Uncle Hendrik. If he wasn't asking her about capitals, he was asking her multiplication facts. Worst of all were his word problems. "I have 2 bushels of Brussels sprouts I'm selling for 5 cents a peck," he said. "Now how much do you pay me?" Kit put the tray on the table to gain some time. She could never keep bushels and pecks straight, and who wants 2 bushels of Brussels sprouts anyway, she thought. 50 cents, she guessed. "Wrong," said Uncle Hendrik. "You may go." Mother gave Kit a sympathetic look, but Kit felt sorrier for Mother than she did for herself. She went inside, but she stayed in the dining room where she could hear everything they said. "Margaret," Uncle Hendrik sighed, "didn't I tell you and Jack what a mistake it was to sink all your money into that car dealership? If you two had listened to me, you would not be in this fix you're in now. And don't expect me to help you. I won't throw good money after bad." "We'll be all right, Uncle," said Mother. "I'm sure Jack will find a job soon." Snorted Uncle Hendrik. "No, he will not. Not him. And not during these hard times." Kit realized that her fists were clenched. Ooh, she wanted to run out on the terrace and punch Uncle Hendrik. She hated it when people spoke about Dad that way. But Mother didn't say anything. "And what will you do in the meantime?" Uncle Hendrik continued. "You should sell this house right away, though who'd buy it I can't imagine. Such foolish extravagance to buy it in the first place. You must owe the bank thousands of dollars." "This is our home, Uncle," Kit heard Mother say. "We'll do whatever we can to keep it." "Indeed," said Uncle Hendrik. "And what might that be, if I may ask?" Mother didn't answer. "Just as I thought," said Uncle Hendrik smugly. "You haven't any idea. There's nothing you can do." "Well," said Mother, "we could take in boarders, paying guests." Kit felt surprised as Uncle Hendrik sounded. "Boarders?" he gasped. "Yes," said Mother. "It's perfectly respectable. We'll take in teachers or nurses from the hospital." "Gosh," thought Kit, "would you listen to Mother?" But Uncle Hendrik had evidently heard enough. "Well, Margaret," he said, "all I can say is that if my sister, your dear mother, could see you now, it would break her heart." With that, Uncle Hendrik strode back to his car and drove away. Kit ventured out onto the terrace. "Are we really going to take in boarders?" she asked Mother. Mother smiled, and this time it was one of her real smiles that made Kit feel like something smiling too. "I surprised myself by saying that," said Mother. "I'm afraid I just wanted to shock Uncle Hendrik. But I guess I like the idea." Mother laughed. "Yes," she said, "I like the idea a lot. It was a brainstorm." "What's Dad gonna say?" asked Kit. "That," said Mother, "is a good question." Kit was not at all sure that she liked Mother's brainstorm. She wasn't crazy about the idea of strangers living in their house, especially considering the way Sterling had turned out. Kit could tell that Dad didn't like the idea either. Mother had first presented the idea to him in private, of course, before she spoke about it again at dinner that evening. Mrs. Howard was serving Sterling his dinner up in their room, so only the family was at the table. "We have plenty of room," said Mother. "We should put it to use." "I don't think it's necessary," said Dad. "I'm making every effort to find a job. Meanwhile, this is a way for us to earn some money," said Mother. Dad sighed. "I hate the idea of you waiting on other people, especially in our own home." "We'll all chip in to help," answered Mother, in a way that made it clear that the question of taking in boarders was settled. Kit wasn't surprised. There was never any way to stop Mother once she made up her mind. "But where will the boarders stay?" asked Kit. "Charlie can move into the sleeping porch," said Mother, "and we can put someone in his room." "It's okay with me," said Charlie with a shrug. "Thank you, dear," said Mother. "I'm also planning to find 2 school teachers or nurses to share the guest room." Kit perked up. "Does that mean Sterling and his mother will be leaving?" she asked. "That'd be one good thing about Mother's plan, at least." "They'll stay," said Mother. "They'll be paying guests from now on." "But where will they stay?" asked Kit. Mother looked at Kit and said calmly, "Sterling and his mother will move into your room." "Mine?" asked Kit in a shocked, squeaky voice. "Yes," said Mother. "We need them. They've got to stay if we want to make enough money to pay the mortgage every month. I figured it out." "But Mother," exclaimed Kit, "where will I sleep?" "I was thinking," said Mother briskly, "that you could move up to the attic. There's plenty of room up there." The attic, thought Kit indignantly. She was being exiled to the hot, stuffy attic so that Sniffle-Nose Sterling could move into her room with his hankies and his meals on trays and his Vicks Vapor Rub. Oh. In Kit's mind, she saw her headlines again in letters that were 4 inches tall. "It's not fair." "But Kit," panted Ruthie, out of breath from climbing the stairs up to the attic, "you didn't even like your room that much." It was the next day. Kit and Ruthie were inspecting the attic. It smelled of mothballs, and it was gloomy because the windows were so dusty that the sun couldn't shine through them. "You told me your room's too pink," Ruthie said. "Why are you so mad about moving out of it?" "Because it's mine," said Kit, knowing she sounded peevish. The fact that Ruthie was right, of course, just made Kit madder. "That room belonged to me, always, ever since I was a baby. And it just kills me to think that Sterling gets to have it. Why didn't he have to move up here?" "I guess because his mother is paying rent now," said Ruthie calmly. She looked around. "It's not so bad up here," she said. "It's like the attic that Sarah Crewe had to move into after she lost all her money. You know, the little princess." Kit felt very impatient with Ruthie and her princesses this morning. "Sarah Crewe's room was transformed for her by that Indian guy," Kit said crossly. "Remember? He made it beautiful. He was practically magic about it." "Your mother's practically magic about making things beautiful, too," said Ruthie. "She'll help you up here, right?" "Right," said Kit. But she was dead wrong. That afternoon, while she was helping Mother make the beds, Kit asked her how they were going to fix up the attic. Mother said, "I don't have time to help you right now, dear. I'm far too busy getting the rooms ready for the boarders." Mother's arms were full of sheets for the roll-away cot, which was being moved into Kit's old room for Sterling to sleep on. "After you help me, why don't you just poke around up there," she said. "See what you can find." Mother spoke in such a distracted manner that Kit's feelings were hurt. Mother had been so particular about every detail in Kit's pink room, but she didn't seem to give a hoot about Kit's attic. Kit climbed slowly up the stairs to the attic. She stood in the middle of the room and looked around at the lumpy, dusty piles that surrounded her. In the far corner, she saw her old brown desk chair. She saw her old desk, too, hidden under a bumpy mattress and some boxes. Kit knelt next to one of the boxes and looked inside. "Now, if I were a book," Kit thought, "I'd find something wonderful in here." But the box only had junk in it. A broken camera, a pair of binoculars, and a compass that must have belonged to Dad in the war, a gooseneck lamp, an old telephone, the kind that looked like a daffodil. Old and useless, thought Kit. She took the compass out of the box and hung it around her neck. Then she sank down to the floor, overwhelmed by sadness. When she'd been wishing for change so that she could have a dramatic headline, she never imagined this. Terrible changes, and so many and so fast. Dad had lost his job, she had lost her room, and in a way they were going to lose their house. They'd still be living in it, but it wouldn't be the same when it was filled up with strangers. Nothing would ever be the same. Kit almost never cried. She bit her lip now and fought back tears. Then suddenly Sterling's head appeared at the top of the stairs. "What are you doing out of bed?" Kit asked, roughly brushing away a tear. Kit could tell that Sterling knew she'd been crying, but all he said was, "I'm bringing this stuff from your room." He came all the way up the stairs and handed Kit a box. She noticed the photo of Ernie Lombardi, wrinkled but smoothed flat, was on top. "Thanks," said Kit. "I brought you a tack, too," said Sterling. He gave Kit the tack and looked around. "I guess you can put Ernie Lombardi up anywhere you want up here, can't you?" he said in his weirdly husky voice. Then he disappeared downstairs. After Sterling left, Kit looked down at the photograph. She felt oddly cheered to see it. "Old sniffle-nose Sterling is right," she thought. "I guess I can put anything, anywhere that I want up here." Kit looked around the long, narrow attic. The ceiling was steeply pitched. There were regular windows at each end of the room and dormer windows that jouted out of the roof and made a little pointed roofed alcoves, each one about as wide as Kit was tall. The windows went almost to all the way to the floor of the alcoves. Kit managed to open one of the heavy windows. She knelt down, stuck her head out, and came face to face with a leafy tree branch. At that moment, Kit got a funny, excited feeling. Suddenly, she knew exactly what she wanted to do. After the next few days, Kit was glad that no one seemed to care what she was up to in the attic. When she wasn't helping Mother downstairs, she hauled buckets of soapy water up there and scrubbed the windows till they sparkled. She swept the floor and pushed the boxes far to one end of the room. She had decided to use only half of the attic to live in and a pile of junk in the other half. Finally, the cleaning was done and the fun part began. In one alcove, Kit put her roll-top desk and her swivel chair. She put the gooseneck lamp on the desk, along with the telephone, the camera, and her typewriter. This was her newspaper office alcove. In another alcove, Kit tacked up her photo of Ernie Lombardi. On a nail she hung her catcher's mitt and the old binoculars. She figured she might need the binoculars if she ever went to a Reds game. This was her baseball alcove. In the third alcove, Kit made bookshelves out of boards and arranged all her books on them. She found a huge chair that was losing its stuffing, and she shoved it into the alcove and softened it with a pillow. That was her reading alcove. And the last alcove was Kit's favorite. She put the lumpy mattress on an old bed frame and pushed the bed into the alcove with the pillow near the window. She surrounded the bed with some of Mother's potted plants. That was her treehouse alcove. That very night, Kit slept in her treehouse alcove. Mother came up to tuck her in. She sat on the edge of Kit's bed and looked around the attic. Kit watched Mother's face carefully. She knew the attic was a far cry from Mother's idea of what a girl's room should look like. "Well," said Mother at last, "a place for every interest and every interest in its place. I can see that you've worked hard to make this attic your room. I'm proud of you, Kit." "Thanks," said Kit. "I'm sorry I haven't had time to help you," said Mother. "I'm afraid I've left you all on your own." "That's okay," said Kit. Mother kissed Kit's forehead. Then she picked up Kit's book. "Still reading Robin Hood?" she asked. "Yep," said Kit. "Robin Hood gave me the idea to make a treehouse alcove to sleep in." Kit also had plans for a swinging bridge to connect the window ledge to the tree just outside the window. But she didn't tell Mother. It was going to be a secret escape like Robin Hood had. "Good old Robin Hood," said Mother, "robbing the rich to give to the poor." Kit propped herself up on her elbows and looked at Mother. "Too bad there isn't any Robin Hood today," she said. "If rich people had to give some of their money to the poor, it would make the Depression better." "It would help," said Mother, "but I don't think it would end the Depression." "What will?" asked Kit. "I don't know," said Mother. "Lots of things, I suppose. People will have to work hard, use what they have, face challenges, stay hopeful." She looked around Kit's attic and smiled. "I guess they'll have to sort of do what you've done up here in your attic. They'll have to make changes and realize that changes can be good." Then she kissed Kit again. "Good night, dear," she said. "Don't read too late." "I won't," said Kit. "Good night." After Mother went downstairs, Kit flipped over onto her stomach and looked out the open window. She could hear the leaves rustling outside and see stars peeking through the branches. "Changes can be good," she thought. "That sounds like a headline to me."